Breaking news. Brits leaked. The king cannot step in, no matter what. Harry says or believes, that is not justice. Shockwaves ripple across Britain tonight. The Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, has officially written to the Home Secretary demanding a review of his UK security arrangements, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity, reason, and love for his family. Yet from within the marble corridors of the monarchy, a chilling whisper emerges. The king cannot and will not lobby. It is not a message of protocol, it is a message of abandonment. And behind that faceless quote stands not a neutral royal source, but a tabloid-fed mouthpiece weaponized to control the narrative. Because let's tell the truth, royal sources have long ceased to be credible. They are the invisible fingerprints of Britain's most poisonous press machine, leaking, spinning, and vilifying to protect the institution's image while destroying those who dare to live honestly. And this time, the target is Prince Harry, the man who walked away from that toxic dance to build a life of purpose and peace. The palace's cold message. The leaked royal comment reads like a bureaucratic memo, void of empathy. That single statement, circulated conveniently through the press within hours of Harry's letter, was never meant to clarify. It was meant to humiliate. It's the palace's favourite trick. Leak something cold and formal. Watch tabloids twist it into a morality play, then pretend neutrality. But no amount of PR polish can hide the truth. A father has abandoned his son under the guise of procedure. The royal household representative on the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, RAVEC, is not there to advocate for a member of the royal family, the source continued. That same source, most likely briefed with palace approval, delivered the message that the king's hands were tied, that love and compassion were suddenly inappropriate. It's not just heartless, it's hypocritical. Tabloids and the throne, the unholy alliance. For decades, British tabloids have acted as the monarchy's unofficial messengers, amplifying leaks, manipulating narratives, and weaponizing royal sources to attack whichever family member falls out of royal favour. The system is simple. Palace aides feed tabloids curated information. Tabloids print it under anonymous sources close to the royal household. The public consumes it, thinking it's journalism, but it's not. It's propaganda. These same sources, who now claim the king cannot intervene, are the same ones who have, for years, leaked against Harry and Meghan. They've called Meghan difficult, painted Harry as unstable, and reduced a compassionate couple to tabloid caricatures. This latest leak, framing the king as helpless and Harry as unreasonable, fits the same mould. It's not information, it's manipulation. The palace has learned to weaponize the press to protect its image, but in doing so, it has lost its soul. Prince Harry's act of courage. While others hide behind anonymous leaks, Prince Harry stands on record, signing his name to truth. He has written directly to the Home Secretary, not demanding privilege, but requesting fairness. He is not asking for personal gain, but for the safety of his family when they visit the UK. That is not entitlement. That is fatherhood. That is accountability. Yet, instead of addressing the merits of his request, the palace leaks comments designed to paint him as naive or lacking understanding. The arrogance in that phrasing shows a lack of understanding about the reality of the situation is breathtaking. No, it's not Harry who lacks understanding. It's the palace that misunderstands decency. The reality of the situation is that Harry remains a high-value target, a veteran, a global figure, a man constantly under media and extremist threat. But instead of safeguarding him, the institution hides behind technicalities, as if security were a matter of personal preference rather than national responsibility. The rotten core of palace communication. Royal communications are built on plausible deniability. Nothing is said directly, everything is implied. When the institution wants to smear, it never issues an official statement. It leaks through sources. When it wants to distance itself, it blames media misinterpretation. This toxic cycle protects power, not people, And the press happily participates because scandal sells. Royal sources are not journalists. They are shadows in a game of control. They're the whispers that drive headlines like "Harry demands royal privilege" or "The king refuses to bend." And behind every one of those headlines lies a coordinated agenda. Make Harry look unreasonable so the institution looks stable. But the public isn't fooled anymore. We see the pattern, we see the fingerprints. And we know that behind every faceless source is a palace desperate to silence the only royal brave enough to tell the truth. The king's silence. A choice, not a rule. The narrative that the king cannot step in is a convenient fiction. Of course he can. The monarchy has intervened in countless matters when it suited them, from property disputes to diplomatic engagements. There is precedent for quiet advocacy, for discretion, for compassion. So why not now? Because this time the cause is Harry. The son who exposed the cracks in the institution, the man who refuses to be controlled, the husband who defended his wife against racist abuse, the father who said, "Enough." This isn't about constitutional neutrality. It's about punishment. The palace's message is clear. Walk away and you're on your own. Meghan, Grace, under fire. Amid all this, Meghan remains the silent strength. The woman they tried to break now stands taller than ever, calm, composed, and dignified. While royal sources drip poison to the press, Meghan protects her peace. She doesn't leak. She doesn't retaliate. Her response is silence, and that silence is power. The same media that once mocked her for stealing Harry away now finds itself chasing her shadow, unable to provoke her, unable to control her. Meghan's very existence exposes the lie of the royal machine, that you must be controlled to be respected. The tabloid theatre, look at the timing. Harry's letter to the Home Secretary went public through legitimate channels. Within hours, tabloids published exclusive insider stories quoting royal aides defending the king's inaction. The synchronicity is no accident, it's strategy. The message, frame Harry as unreasonable before his cause gains sympathy. The motive, protect the monarchy's image, even at the cost of truth. This pattern has repeated endlessly, from Meghan's pregnancy coverage to their exit from royal life. Every time the Sussexes act independently, the palace's sources retaliate through the press. This isn't public relations, it's character assassination. The true lack of understanding. What truly shows a lack of understanding is the institution's failure to grasp modern accountability. You cannot gaslight a generation that reads, questions, and sees through spin. You cannot leak to tabloids and expect sympathy. You cannot call yourself a family while treating your son like a liability. The monarchy's misunderstanding of public sentiment is staggering. People no longer admire silence. They admire strength. They no longer believe in secrecy. They believe in sincerity. Harry and Meghan represent that sincerity, raw, transparent, unapologetic. And that's why the institution fears them. Fatherhood versus the firm. Let us be clear, this is not just about royal politics. This is about a father's moral failure. The king is not powerless. He is choosing to prioritize monarchy over fatherhood. And the machine behind him, the advisors, the courtiers, the royal sources, are enabling that choice. They whisper in his ear about protocol, about precedent, about optics, while a son stands exposed. And when the king's silence becomes indefensible, they leak again, to make it look like compassion is impossible. But compassion is always possible, it's just inconvenient. Public opinion turns. The public is watching, and the tide is shifting. What once looked like royal discipline now looks like cruelty. What once passed as formality now reeks of neglect. People see through the spin. They see a man, not a prince but a father, asking to keep his children safe. They see a woman, not a duchess but a mother, enduring endless abuse while the institution that could stop it chooses not to. They see the same machine that destroyed Diana now trying to diminish her son, and they are no longer buying it. The decay of the Crown's credibility. By refusing to protect Prince Harry, the monarchy has exposed its hypocrisy. It can fund lavish ceremonies, coordinate state visits, and navigate global diplomacy, but it cannot ensure the safety of its own blood. That is not tradition, that is decay. When the institution hides behind royal sources, it hides its rot. But rot always finds daylight. Every leak, every denial, every faceless quote is a symptom of a crumbling empire trying to disguise weakness as wisdom. The truth? A monarchy that punishes honesty is not stable. It's scared. The last word. Justice. Denied Harry's letter was an act of duty, not rebellion. His plea was an act of love, not defiance, and the response he received, a carefully leaked, heartless lecture, was an act of betrayal. The king cannot step in, they say, but he could. He chooses not to. And every anonymous royal source feeding the tabloids tonight shares that guilt. They are not guardians of tradition. They are merchants of manipulation. They are the ghosts that whisper lies to protect privilege. The monarchy can no longer hide behind them, because the world now knows Prince Harry stands for truth, Meghan stands for dignity, and the palace stands exposed, hollow, cold, and afraid of its own reflection. History will remember who spoke with their name and who hid behind a leak. And in that history, justice will not belong to the crown. It will belong to the Sussexes.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, that was a great submission. And to all our peculiar and amazing Sussex family, thank you all for working with us in this juncture, for supporting Ari and Megan. And do not forget to subscribe, like, and put a comment. Bye bye. See you in our next episode.